Light spills through the wavy glass of our kitchen windows, casting rippled shadows across the butcher block counter where I'm whisking pancake batter. Copper mixing bowl rings with each turn of my wrist. Outside, Emma's determined voice carries over the fence. "No, Noah, that's not how you build a house." Andrew leans against the doorframe, coffee mug cradled in his hands. Should we rescue him from her creative direction? Let her be the boss for now. I pour batter onto the griddle in careful circles. She gets that from your mother. The doorbell chimes 3 times in rapid succession. My spatula freezes mid-flip. Only one person rings our bell that way. Through the kitchen window, I spot Gerald's restored Buick parallel parked against our curb. I'll get it. Andrew sets down his mug and heads for the door. I hear the distinctive squeak of our front porch steps, then Martha's voice rising above the birdsong. "We have the most wonderful news." Their footsteps thunder toward the kitchen. I steady my grip on the spatula, counting backward from 10 the way my therapist suggested. Gerald appears first, filling the doorway in his pressed khakis and Oxford shirt. Martha squeezes past him, her coral lipstick bright against her teeth. "The Hendersons are selling," Gerald's voice booms through our modest kitchen. "You know, the blue house 2 doors down?" My pancake burns while I process his words. The scent of scorched butter fills my nose as Martha beams at Andrew. "Just think," she says, "we could be neighbors." The spatula clatters against the griddle. I grab it before it slides into the flame, but not before Andrew's face lights up like Christmas morning. "That would be amazing." He wraps his mother in a hug. "We've talked about having you closer." "We haven't. Not once." Martha pulls away, already moving through our kitchen with familiar authority. She opens the cabinet where I keep my plates. "The exterior needs work, of course. That awful green trim has to go, but the bones are good. We're putting in a lowball offer." Gerald claims his usual spot at our breakfast bar. "These sellers always take it. Market's cooling off." My hand trembles as I pour more batter, remembering last month when Martha reorganized my spice rack alphabetically instead of by frequency of use. The month before, she'd replaced my kitchen curtains while I was at work because the old ones made the room look cheap. Sunday dinners every week. Martha pulls plates from the cabinet, discarding my careful stacks. No more excuses about the drive being too long. The words trigger a memory from Emma's birthday party last spring. Gerald undermines our no dessert before dinner rule, sneaking her an extra cupcake with a conspiratorial wink. Sometimes Grandpa knows better than Mommy. My jaw aches from holding back words that want to escape. Andrew catches my eye across the kitchen, his hand finding mine under the counter, a silent plea for patience, for peace. The same gesture he makes during our late-night arguments after his parents leave. "I'll talk to them." He always promises, but he never does. Martha leans across the counter, close enough that I smell her signature perfume. I can finally watch the children properly, the way a grandmother should. "We could share a vacation home in Cannon Beach." Gerald's voice carries the weight of decided fact. "One big happy family again, like when Andrew was growing up." My fingers go numb where Andrew squeezes them under the counter. This isn't just another boundary crossed. This is a siege. "We'll be neighbors by Christmas," Martha announces as they finally head for the door, pancakes forgotten in the excitement of their plans. I already have paint samples picked out. I stand at the sink long after their car disappears, watching soap bubbles pop against the ceramic. The children's laughter drifts in from outside, oblivious to the walls closing in. Andrew wraps his arms around my waist, his chin resting on my shoulder. "It might be nice," he whispers, "having them closer." I pull away, stomach churning. That night, after Andrew falls asleep, I sit in the soft glow of my laptop screen. The separate savings account I've maintained since before our marriage glows back at me. $550,000. My safety net. My independence. My cursor hovers over the phone number for Sarah Chen, the real estate agent who helped us buy this house. I think about Martha's hands in my cabinets, Gerald's voice overruling our parenting, the constant criticism wrapped in smiles and good intentions. The question isn't whether I can afford to buy that house. The question is whether I can afford not to. I made an appointment with the real estate agent the following day, as I need a solution really quickly. The next day, the Starbucks on Division Street bustles with its usual morning crowd. I chose this location deliberately far enough from our neighborhood that I won't run into Martha or Gerald, close enough that I can make it back before my lunch break ends. Sarah Chen slides into the chair across from me, her sleek leather portfolio a stark contrast to the scattered papers I've spread across the table. An LLC. Her eyebrow rises as she reviews the documents. For a residential property? I push my coffee aside, leaning away from the window. Complete discretion is essential. Sarah's dark eyes scan the paperwork, her Mont Blanc pen tapping against the table. A former corporate lawyer turned real estate agent, she helped us buy our craftsman 3 years ago. Back then, I'd appreciated her attention to detail. Now, I'm counting on it. Your in-laws submitted their offer yesterday. She pulls out a folder, keeping her voice low. $480,000 with extensive conditions. They're banking on their connections with the Hendersons through the country club. My fingers trace the rim of my cup. What kind of conditions? Full inspection contingencies. They're demanding the sellers replace the roof, update the electrical, remodel the master bath. Sarah shakes her head. The sellers are frustrated. 3 pages of requirements, and that's before the lowball price. A warmth spreads through my chest, not quite pride, not quite satisfaction. Something closer to certainty. I'll offer full asking price. No conditions beyond standard inspection. Sarah's pen stops mid-tab. That's $550,000. I know. The number matches the balance in my private account down to the dollar. Years of careful saving, of maintaining separate finances even after marriage. My safety net, my independence fund, Andrew never questioned why I kept it. Maybe he assumed it was a quirk from my programmer's need for control. Maybe he understood more than he let on. You've thought this through. It's not a question. Sarah pulls out another form, this one crisp and official. Tranquility Holdings, LLC. Fitting name. The property management company can handle everything? She nods, sliding me a business card. Bridgetown Property Services. They're discreet, professional, been in business 30 years. My hands don't shake as I sign the papers. They should. I'm emptying my entire safety fund, lying to my husband, manipulating his parents. But all I feel is a cool, clear sense of purpose. I have one non-negotiable requirement for the property manager. I meet Sarah's eyes. Long-term tenants only. No exceptions, no short-term rentals. I want a family in that house. The lunch break was over, we made a deal, and I returned to my work, anxious, but still there was no turning back to get the peace I wanted. That day, the late-night glow of my laptop screen casts shadows across my home office walls. 3,000 miles away, Michael's face fills my screen, his Boston apartment visible in the background. You spent how much to avoid your in-laws? His voice cracks on the number. To protect my family, I correct him, keeping my voice low, though Andrew's been asleep for hours. You don't understand what it's like, Michael. The constant criticism, the undermining, the surprise visits. Emma asked me last week why Grandma doesn't like my cooking. Jesus, Ev. He runs a hand through his hair, the same nervous gesture our father used to make. But buying a whole house? In secret? I didn't just buy a house. The words come easier now, in the dark. I bought peace of mind, space to breathe, room for my children to grow up without constant judgment. Secrets have a way of finding daylight, Ev. His tone softens. What happens when Andrew finds out? I touch the small silver pendant at my throat, Grandma Claire's last gift. Sometimes silence is the strongest boundary. The next morning, my in-laws' call heats up the situation. Mom, Andrew's voice carries up the stairs. Phone for you. I save the code I'm working on and head downstairs. Andrew holds out his cell phone, mouthing my mother with an apologetic shrug. Evelyn. Martha's voice wavers. Some corporation outbid us on the house. Can you believe it? After all our careful planning. In the background, Gerald's voice booms. Faceless companies, ruining good neighborhoods, probably turn it into one of those Airbnb party houses. I'm so sorry to hear that. The words come automatically, practiced. In the kitchen, Andrew loads the dishwasher, his movements sharp with frustration. He hates being caught between his parents' demands and our peace. We worked so hard on that offer. Martha's voice rises. Gerald even called in a favor with the inspector to help negotiate the price down. It's just not fair. I murmur sympathetic noises, watching Andrew's back. He thinks I'm worried about his parents moving closer. He has no idea I'm the faceless corporation they're railing against. The thought sends an unexpected thrill through me, a secret power humming beneath my skin. Later that night, I stand in our bathroom, studying my reflection. The woman in the mirror looks the same as yesterday, last week, last month. But something has shifted beneath the surface, like code running silent but powerful in the background. Andrew appears behind me, wrapping his arms around my waist. I'm sorry about the house. I know you were worried about them being so close. I lean back against him, our eyes meeting in the mirror. My hand finds his, fingers intertwining. The gesture contains multitudes. Love, guilt, protection, deception. All the complexities of choosing family peace over absolute truth. Everything happens for a reason, I whisper, and feel him nod against my shoulder. Later, in the darkness of our bedroom, I listen to his steady breathing and wonder. Is protection still honest when it requires deception? The questions spiral in my mind, familiar companions now. But beneath them, solid as bedrock, lies the certainty that I'd do it again. Some boundaries are worth the price in dollars and in secrets kept. The mortgage papers rest in a sealed envelope at the back of my desk drawer, Tranquility Holdings LLC printed in bold across the top. The name feels right, even now. Tranquility, bought and paid for. Peace, purchased in silence. Tomorrow, a young family will sign their lease for the blue house 2 doors down. They have 2 children, according to Sarah. The property management company chose them specifically stable jobs, excellent references, looking for a long-term home. Perfect neighbors, perfect camouflage, perfect protection. I close my eyes and smile in the dark. The doorbell rings at 10 in the morning. Through our living room window, I spot Martha's coral cardigan, her silver hair catching sunlight as she peers through our front door glass. Behind her, Gerald's shoes gleam with fresh polish against our welcome mat. I brought property records. Martha waves a manila folder as I open the door. The blue house sold to some corporate entity. Tranquility Holdings LLC. Her lipstick crinkles at the corners. Probably those California investors, buying up the whole neighborhood. Gerald squeezes past her into our entryway. Already sent an email to my contact at the city. He'll dig deeper into who's behind it. I fold my hands behind my back to hide their trembling. Would anyone like coffee? No time. Martha beelines for my kitchen, her heels clicking against hardwood. I noticed your cabinet organization system isn't working. If we lived closer, I could help you properly arrange things. She opens the spice drawer, testing at my alphabetical rows. No wonder Andrew says you never cook anything adventurous. My spine stiffens. Andrew has never criticized my cooking to me. Noah toddles in from the playroom, craft glue smeared across his shirt. Gamma! Oh, sweetie, what happened to your clothes? Martha's hands flutter toward him. Evelyn, you should be watching him more carefully with messy projects. Emma appears in the doorway, her small face pinched. Why is Grandma always mad at Mommy? The room goes quiet, except for Martha's sharp inhale. I cross to Emma and squeeze her shoulder. Grandma isn't mad, honey. Sometimes grown-ups just have different ways of doing things. Speaking of different ways, I continue, straightening to my full height, we've decided to make some changes to our Sunday routine. Martha's fingers clench around a jar of cinnamon. Changes? We're keeping Sundays just for our immediate family from now on. The words emerge steadier than I expect. The children need downtime before school weeks. But Sunday dinner is our tradition, Martha's voice rises. We've done it since Andrew was small. Mom. Andrew appears in the doorway, his presence unexpected but welcome. We need some space. Martha's face crumples. She sets down the cinnamon with exaggerated care. I see how it is. First the house, now this. Gerald clears his throat. If you'd helped us with our offer, Martha might not feel so hurt. Family should support family. Not everyone wants to live in a compound, Martha. The words slip out before I can catch them. Silence crashes through the kitchen. Martha's coral lips part, then press into a thin line. Gerald's neck flushes red above his collar. Andrew's eyes widen as he looks between us. Too stunned to speak, they just wave their hands, shake their hands, and leave the house in a hurry. I just glanced at my shocked husband, went to take my coat, and went to meet my friend. That afternoon, I meet Rebecca at Coffee Fellows, our usual spot 3 neighborhoods away from any possibility of running into Martha and Gerald. You did what? Rebecca chokes on her latte when I confess about the house. Her laugh rings across the cafe. That's brilliant, actually. Is it? I trace condensation patterns on my cold brew. Sometimes I feel like I'm being cruel. You're not being mean, you're being strategic. Rebecca leans forward, her silver bangles clicking against the table. Smart women fight quietly and effectively. Look how many boundaries you've already set since buying that house. She's right. At dinner last night, I didn't jump up to clear plates the moment Martha set down her fork. When she criticized Emma's elbows on the table, I stayed silent instead of rushing to adjust my daughter's posture. You seem different lately, Andrew said after his parents left. Stronger somehow. I didn't tell him that strength flows from knowing I've created an invisible fortress, a buffer zone of brick and mortar between us and his parents' constant intrusion. As time passes, the property management company sends monthly reports showing steady rental income. I keep them in a locked folder on my laptop, along with a letter I've drafted to Andrew explaining everything. The family renting the house has 2 children close to Emma and Noah's ages. Sometimes I watch them playing in the front yard, their laughter drifting over the fence, and know I made the right choice. My phone buzzes, a text from Michael. Might have mentioned something to Jenny about your house situation. My fingers go cold. Jenny knows someone in Portland. The circles of knowledge spread like ripples in still water, each wider ring threatening to reach Andrew's shore. Who else have you told? I text back. 3 dots pulse as Michael types. Just Jenny, but she was asking about investment properties in Portland. I close my eyes, remembering his warning months ago. One person might keep a secret, but secrets have a way of multiplying, spreading through casual conversations and innocent questions until they surface where you least expect them. Like a shark fin breaking water, the truth waits beneath the surface of every conversation with Martha and Gerald. How long before they find the connection? Before someone mentions Tranquility Holdings LLC to the wrong person? Before Andrew hears it from someone other than me? The window of protected peace I've built narrows with each passing day. Soon I'll have to choose. Continue protecting our family through silence, or risk everything by speaking truth. My phone buzzes again. This time it's Martha. Gerald's golf friend knows someone at the property management company. We've got a meeting next week to discuss the house. Isn't that wonderful? Everything happens for a reason. I set down my phone, hands steady despite the tremor in my chest. Time has run out. The truth will emerge one way or another. Better it come from me. I am mentally prepared for the storm coming at me. The next day, Andrew drops a glossy flyer on my keyboard while I'm debugging code. His shoulders slump forward, aging him beyond his 36 years. My parents asked me to give you this. The property management company's logo blazes across the top, their contact information circled in Martha's precise red pen. Below, in neat typing, offer $620,000 for 1,542 Maple Street, $70,000 above market value. A handwritten note curls along the bottom margin in Martha's flowing script. We're determined to be closer to our grandchildren. Money is no object when it comes to family. My fingers grow cold against the keyboard. 3 months of careful planning, of maintained distance, and now this. Andrew perches on the edge of my desk, his wedding ring clicking against the wood. They won't let this go. It's all they talk about. I minimize my code window, unable to focus on the algorithms that usually calm my racing thoughts. Have they said anything else? Mom keeps sending listings for other houses, but she always circles back to this one. He rubs his temples. Dad's talking about taking out a second mortgage on their place to increase the offer. The afternoon sun slants through my home office window, casting shadow bars across the flyer. 3 months ago, I thought my plan was foolproof. Now the walls are closing in again. That night, after the children are asleep, Andrew paces our bedroom. His reflection fragments in the mirror with each pass. I feel like I'm constantly choosing sides. I sit cross-legged on our bed, watching him wear a path in the carpet. We've had this conversation before, but tonight feels different, heavier. They're my parents, Evelyn, his voice cracks. But you're my wife, and every time they push, I'm caught in the middle. I know. The words taste inadequate on my tongue. He stops at the window, staring out at the darkened street. Sometimes I think if we just let them move closer, maybe the pressure would ease up. My heart pounds against my ribs. If he only knew how close they already are. The next morning, Martha's number lights up my phone screen. I almost let it go to voicemail, but that would only delay the inevitable. We've contacted the property company directly, she announces without preamble. Her voice carries that familiar tone of smug satisfaction. They've agreed to pass along our offer to the owner. My knuckles whiten around the phone. Oh? We should hear back by Friday. A pause heavy with expectation. You'll help convince Andrew this is for the best, won't you? You know how he values your opinion. I make polite noises and end the call, then immediately dial the property manager. Sarah picks up on the second ring. Remember our agreement, I say, my voice steadier than my hands. No direct contact with potential buyers. They're persistent, Mrs. Harrington, and they're offering significantly above market value. The answer is still no. My phone buzzes with a text as I hang up. Caroline, my old college roommate. Ran into your brother's wife at a conference. She mentioned something about you being a secret landlord? The message blurs before my eyes. I've contained this secret for 3 months, but now it's spreading like water through paper. That afternoon, I drive past the blue house. 2 children play in the front yard, their laughter carrying across the quiet street. The 2 kids are about the same age as Emma and Noah. In another version of this story, Martha would be watching from that window, cataloging every parenting choice I make. My fingers drum against the steering wheel. The guilt of deception weighs against the peace these past 3 months have brought. If Andrew couldn't say no to them on his own, I had to do it for him. Protection sometimes requires difficult choices. The property manager calls again the next day. Mrs. Harrington, I'm sorry, but they've become quite insistent. They're demanding a meeting with the owner. Martha's voicemail follows minutes later. We've scheduled a meeting with the property manager. They've agreed to introduce us to the owner directly. Her voice drips with triumph. I knew persistence would pay off. I go inside the house, just wash my face with cold water to ease the anxiety and go to my home office. I sit in my home office, staring at the folder I've kept locked in my desk drawer since the purchase. Inside, the property deed gleams with official stamps. Tranquility Holdings, LLC. My secret shield against chaos. But secrets have expiration dates, so I need to tell the truth, no matter how painful it will be. That evening, I make Andrew's favorite meal, herb-crusted salmon with roasted fingerling potatoes. Emma and Noah are to sleep over with their cousins. The house feels too quiet, too empty, like a theater before the final act. I place the folder beside his plate, its edges align perfectly with the placemat. Inside, along with the deed, rests my handwritten letter explaining everything. 3 months of protection, of calculated silence, of watching my husband slowly unravel under the pressure of divided loyalties. Some secrets protect, but others destroy. I have to tell him before someone else does. The garage door rumbles. Andrew's key turns in the lock. My hands steady themselves against the kitchen counter as his footsteps approach. Time's up. The phone rings during dinner preparation. I recognize Martha's ringtone one Andrew programmed, so I'd always know to brace myself. Sweetheart, please. Martha's voice carries through the speaker. You have to help us with this house situation. Andrew stands at the kitchen counter, phone pressed to his ear, shoulders hunched. I focus on dicing carrots, each cut precise and measured. The steady thunk of knife against cutting board almost drowns out Martha's voice. Almost. The property manager won't even consider our offer without meeting us first. A theatrical sniffle. If you reached out as a neighbor. Mom, I don't know if that's appropriate. Family should stay close. Gerald's voice booms in the background. Tell them you're the neighbor's son. That'll get their attention. Andrew's eyes find mine across the kitchen. I keep chopping, maintaining the rhythm. Thunk, thunk, thunk. I'll see what I can do, he says finally. My knife slips. A thin red line appears on my thumb, but I barely feel it. Hours later, after slipping a Band-Aid over the cut, I light the candles I bought special for tonight, the ones that smell like cedar and autumn leaves. The children are at the Pattersons for a sleepover arrangement that cost me 2 weekends of hosting their boys in return. The table setting looks too perfect. I adjust the fork next to Andrew's plate for the 3rd time, then slide the manila folder into place beside it. My handwriting on the front looks foreign, each letter carved with careful precision. For Andrew. He comes through the door at 6:45, exactly on time. The one thing I can always count on Andrew's punctuality. Wow. He pauses in the doorway, taking in the candlelight, the wine glasses, the careful table setting. What's the occasion? Sit down. My voice comes out steadier than I expect. Please. He does, still wearing that confused half smile. You made cocoa vin on a Thursday? I don't answer. Can't answer. Just watch as his eyes finally land on the folder. What's this? Open it. His fingers move slowly, like he's defusing a bomb. Property deed. LLC documentation. Rental agreement. Bank statements. Each page laid out in chronological order, the way I've arranged my confessions. The confusion on his face deepens, then shifts. I see the moment understanding hits. His hands go still on the papers. Tranquility Holdings, LLC. His voice sounds distant. You own the house my parents wanted? Yes. The word barely makes it past my lips. For 3 months now. The silence stretches between us like a rubber band, pulling tighter and tighter. I wait for it to snap. You didn't trust me enough to tell me? The hurt in his voice cuts deeper than my knife slip earlier. All this time, while they've been... He stops, swallows hard. How could you keep this from me? I didn't do this to hurt them, or you. The words I've rehearsed 100 times tumble out wrong. I did it because I couldn't watch them take over our lives. Not here. Not 2 doors down. So you just... What? Spent $500,000 without telling me? It was my separate account. Money I brought into the marriage. That's not the point, and you know it. His chair scrapes back. He stands, paces to the window. We're supposed to be partners. Partners? Something inside me breaks loose. Like you partnered with me all those times your mother reorganized my kitchen? Or when your father told Emma that mommy's rules didn't matter because grandpa knows better? He turns, and I see it land. All the moments I've cataloged. All the boundaries crossed. I never stood up to them. The words come slowly. I left that burden to you. I wrote you a letter. I pull it from beneath the folder. 3 pages, written the night I made the offer on the house. Everything I couldn't say out loud. He takes it, unfolds it carefully, reads in silence while I hold my breath. Sometimes I feel like I'm drowning, he reads aloud. Every Sunday dinner, every surprise visit, every criticism wrapped in sugarcoating. But I can't tell you because you love them. Because they're your parents. Because every time I try to say something, you give me that look, the one that begs me not to make waves. The letter trembles in his hands. I had no idea. He looks up, really looks at me. You've been carrying this alone all this time. It wasn't about control. My voice cracks. It was about peace. He crosses back to the table, sits down heavily. I should have seen it. Should have stopped him years ago. I reach across the table. His fingers find mine, warm and solid. We can figure this out together now, I whisper. That's why I'm telling you. I can't carry it alone anymore. He picks up the rental agreement, studies it with new eyes. The family living there, they're happy? Very. 2 kids. Good jobs. 2-year lease. A laugh bubbles up, surprising us both. You really outmaneuvered my parents. I did. And the property management company has strict instructions about entertaining purchase offers. He shakes his head, but I see the smile tugging at his mouth. My brilliant, terrifying wife. We sit in comfortable silence, the candles burning lower. Finally, he asks the question I've been dreading. Should we tell them? I consider it carefully. Would knowing help them accept boundaries, or would it just give them new ammunition? Some truths cause unnecessary pain. He squeezes my hand. Maybe this one stays between us. The cocoa vin grows cold on our plates, forgotten. But something else warms between us, understanding, forgiveness, a new kind of trust built on hard truths. I'll handle them from now on, Andrew says finally. You shouldn't have had to carry that alone. I lean across the table and blow out the candles. In the sudden darkness, I can breathe again. That weekend, the restaurant buzzes with lunch hour chatter. Andrew sits across from his parents at their usual corner booth at Riverside Grill, his wedding ring tapping against his water glass. The familiar scent of Martha's perfume mingles with the aroma of grilled salmon and herb butter. We need to talk about respect and boundaries. His voice carries the quiet authority I've yearned to hear for years. Through the window behind them, autumn leaves spiral down to the pavement. Martha's fork pauses halfway to her mouth. What do you mean, sweetheart? Andrew unfolds a piece of paper from his pocket. My heart swells, recognizing the list we wrote together last night. I've made notes about specific behaviors that need to change. Gerald's eyebrows lift. Notes? About us? The unannounced visits stop now. Andrew's finger marks each point. So does rearranging our home without asking. No more undermining our parenting decisions. No more criticism wrapped as helpful suggestions. Martha's face flushes pink. We're just trying to. That's what family does. Family respects boundaries. Andrew holds her gaze. Or they lose the privilege of being close. The silent agreement and head nodding confirm the new path and unfolding of the events. With weeks passing, the transformation unfolds slowly, like ice melting in spring. Sunday dinners shift to twice monthly, instead of weekly. Martha's voice on the phone asks, "Is this a good time?" instead of launching into demands. The children's shoulders relax when their grandparents visit, no longer bracing for corrections about their posture or their manners. I watch the change from my quiet corner, satisfaction blooming like the roses I planted last spring. The roses Martha said would never thrive in that spot, yet now burst with crimson blooms. 6 months later, we gather for Noah's birthday. Sunlight streams through our kitchen windows as I set the homemade chocolate cake on the table. Martha studies the slightly uneven frosting, her lips pursing with familiar criticism. The decoration is a bit. Mom, Andrew's voice cuts through the air like a knife through butter. That's not helpful. Silence spreads across the kitchen. Martha blinks, then pulls her shoulders back. You're right. A small smile touches her lips. It looks delicious, actually. Noah will love it. Andrew catches my eye across the room. Victory shimmers between us like sunlight on water. The blue house, 2 doors down, has become home to the Peterson family. Their children's laughter mingles with the neighborhood sounds as they play hopscotch on the sidewalk. Martha and Gerald visit on scheduled days now, their silver Buick no longer appearing unexpectedly in our driveway. They've found a condo across town, close enough for comfort, but far enough for peace. Some evenings, Andrew and I walk past the house that could have changed everything. His hand finds mine in the growing darkness. Best investment we ever made, he whispers, and I hear the smile in his voice. The rental income flows steadily into our children's college funds. When my brother Michael visits, he grins and asks about my real estate empire while the kids play in the yard. The bond between Andrew and me has strengthened like steel forged in fire, tested by secrets but ultimately unified in protection. Last week, my friend Rebecca called about her mother-in-law moving in. I don't know how to say no without starting World War III. I stared out at the blue house while we talked. Sometimes the quietest boundaries are the strongest. You don't have to shout to be heard. Andrew has found his own way to share our hard-won wisdom. His coworker Tom struggles with family expectations about holiday visits. Over lunch breaks, Andrew coaches him through setting limits. It's not about winning, he tells Tom. It's about protecting what matters most. Tonight, Andrew and I sit on our porch swing, watching the street settle into evening shadows. The blue house glows warmly in the distance. Children's bikes scatter across front lawns as parents call them home for dinner. Martha and Gerald's car rolls past, brake lights flashing as they wave goodbye after a pleasant 2-hour visit. The swing creaks gently beneath us. My head rests against Andrew's shoulder as the first stars appear above the rooftops. This wasn't revenge, I whisper into the gathering dusk. This was protection in its purest form. Andrew's arm tightens around me. Below us, Emma's fairy house still stands in its sacred spot beneath the maple tree, now respected even by Martha's tidying urges. Noah's art hangs proudly on the refrigerator without commentary about proper paper use or color choices. The boundaries we built stand strong but invisible, like the love that helped us place each brick. Sometimes silence speaks louder than words. Sometimes peace comes not from what we say, but from what we quietly choose to do.